Welcome to the MLB Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. I am Josh Lander on the East Coast right now. That is Nate Weitzer, also on the East Coast. And we are looking at Tuesday baseball here around the MLB. Had a really good Monday for you guys. Hope you were following along there. Went 4-1, up nearly 3.5 units on the night. Only the Cubbies didn't come through, only winning by 1 and needing to come back to do that, actually. But feeling really good about where we're at with baseball right now as we head down the stretch on the season. 91-77, we are up more than 11.5 units for you guys over the last month and a half, 2 months that we've been doing this. So we're going to move right along. Make sure you are following along by liking and subscribing to that page. You can check out each and every day of this week and moving forward that we will have these videos for you guys. Also head to thelines.com. You can check out the great written content that we are putting on the site right now and use that odds finder tool that we have for you up there. Make sure that you're getting the best odds available to you from all of these books giving us bets this season. Nate, let's go ahead and run right into your first pick. A pretty good battle there in the NL East.
Yeah, I'm going to take a pretty ballsy pick here, which is the Phillies to be leading after 5 against the Braves. Plus 132, though, which is juicy, and since it's a money line bet, keep in mind you would get a return. You get your bet returned if it is tied after 5. But Zach Wheeler is one of the few guys I'm willing to back against this Braves offense, which has basically no weaknesses. And sure enough, he did have an absolute gem against the Braves. I don't know if anybody's pitched this well against him all year, but he went 8 innings in a shutout with 12 Ks and 1 walk, the only time he faced him this year, and has not been slowing down since the All-Star break. He is 4-2 with a 2.6 ERA, a 185 batting average against, a .8 whip, only 17% line drive rate. He has a very high ground ball rate on the first time through the order, and I think that's pretty key when you talk about a Braves offense that tends to get out to a hot start. Is you got to keep them down, keep them in the park. He also has a very low walk rate, very low barrel rate. It's kind of the margins you need to control when you have a slugging offense that can take you deep. At least keep guys off base if that's going to happen. But Wheeler has not been allowing much. I mean, he's had impeccable control with his fastball in his last 5. Just great numbers, including 17% swinging strike and 40% outside swing rate. Guys are actually chasing that fastball. He's been able to elevate it and had some dominant K numbers his last 3 against no slouches right now. The Padres, Brewers, Cardinals all hitting well. 7 of his last 10 starts have actually been on the road, and he's better at home. As we head home here, and that Phillies offense has been really good at home in their last 14, hitting nearly 290, averaging nearly 7 runs per game. They're also 7th against lefties in WOBA on the season, and enter Max Fried, who's starting for the Bravos, coming off a less than inspiring start. And he's actually kind of struggled against the Phillies as they've seen him more and more. His last 7 against them, he has a 4 ERA, a 1-3 record. And that includes game 1 of the NLDS, where they got to him pretty early. It's for 6 runs, only 4 earned, but 8 hits, only 2 Ks. I would consider under 5.5 Ks for Fried here, which is pretty good juice. And I mean, because you have guys from the right-handed side of the plate that have really hit him well. I mean, you add Bryce Harper with these 3 righties, Castellanos, Real Muto, Trey Turner, and they're hitting a combined 381 off of Fried. So they are seeing it well. Castellanos gave him a lot of trouble in that playoff game, and the Phillies as a whole batting 303 against him. So I mean, this series has already been advertised in terms of the runs early, and I just think the Phillies are going to have a few more runs early on than the Braves are going to be able to get off Wheeler, who's really developed into an ace.
Yeah, that's fine. If this is how you want to sort of back Wheeler against the Braves, I mean, you're going to find value whenever you pick most things for the other team against the Braves, unless you get a true ace out there. And I think Wheeler's proven to be a true ace, and he's still getting pretty good value to help his team be in the lead after 5 innings, which is right around the time that you start to consider the bullpen. So for both these guys, mostly for Fried, I've been pretty disappointed in some of his stuff as of late. Obviously, part of that is taking his over 5.5 strikeouts last week and failing to hit that. I think, yeah, you're on pace for this Phillies team to not strike out again and continue to hit lefties well, like you said. So I have no problem with getting plus 132 there for them to be winning. And like you said, with the first 5, you also have the opportunity for the push. So I'm going to kick things off with Colorado, where Javier Assad is on the mound for the Cubs, and they are taking on the Rockies there on the road. Javier Assad over 3.5 Ks. I'm going with minus 105 on that. And I'd be interested to hear what you thought as well, but I was considering the under 2.5 earned runs for him, which actually is something that he does very consistently. I think either way, I'm going back to the bet you tried yesterday, which is the Chicago Cubs run line. That is at minus 118 on FanDuel, and I'm going a full unit and a half on that. I'm going to put I think I'm going to split my units on Assad between the 3.5 Ks. I'm going to put that at 0.5 units, and then another half a unit on under 2.5 earned runs for him. This matchup for him should be good. First time versus Colorado, as we know, usually a pretty good advantage for the pitcher when the batters have not yet seen his stuff. In the 8 games that he started since coming out of the pen earlier in the season and now starting to get those starts, 8 times that he's started, 2.34 ERA in that time, and a 4.38 xFIP. Could be better, but it's right around the same as his FIP in general. So, he's basically his expected numbers are where you can put his regular numbers as well. He's allowed 2 earned runs or less in 7 of those 8 starts. So just one time that he gave up 3 earned since he's become a starter for these Cubs. And I think you continue to back him against a Colorado team that bad. I don't know what else to tell you. They're not good against righties, especially. They have the second highest K rate in the last month and on the season. They have the 5th lowest walk rate. They don't score very many runs, 2nd lowest WRC plus. And then you look at Assad's stuff, and it's a lot of fastball, a lot of cutter, a lot of changeup. And that's where the Colorado's bad against most pitches, let's be honest. But they are 6th worst versus the fastball. They're 6th worst versus the cutter. And they are the 2nd worst team versus a changeup, which I think he'll be able to get them with. So he has gone over the 3.5 Ks here 4 times over his last 7 games. I think he's very capable of it in the right matchup. And I think this is definitely the right matchup. And then you talk about Chris Flexen on the mound for the Rockies at home, just wherever he's pitching, not very good, but a 6 in the last 8 starts of the season for him, basically a 7 ERA and a 7 FIP. His 40% ground ball rate is not enough for him because when he gives up that hard contact, it goes out of the park. He has a 25% home run to fly ball ratio, which you're consistently going to see Rockies pitchers with a pretty crappy home run to fly ball ratio, obviously pitching at Coors. But the amount of hard contact he's giving up is way too much for someone who pitches in a park that's just so pitcher or hitter friendly, rather. He's giving up nearly 3 home runs per 9, about 2.8 home runs per 9 innings, and his K to walk ratio just 2.5 Ks for every time he walks somebody. Not getting no swing and misses for him. So I just don't. I really like the run line for them. The Assad stuff I think is also pretty primed to get us some decent juice back on the full unit that I'm splitting on his props there.
Yeah, I would not advise anybody to take under 2.5 runs at Coors for a starting pitcher that could go 7. He's gone pretty deep his last few, but I think you are capitalizing on the Ks here after he had 0 against Arizona last time out, but 7 in the 2 previous. We're looking at a much worse lineup, a Rockies team that has not really been trying to win for months now. So I think he can get those Ks. I don't know. I mean, the run factor at Coors could just literally walk into some home runs that wind up pushing him over 2.5 earned. But I'm glad you're sticking with my Cubs. The one bet we did not get right on Monday, which was Cubs run line, Cubs over. If you just stick with it at Coors, though, as the series progresses, usually you see that first game of the series might be a little lower scoring, and then the offenses just start to take off. And wouldn't be surprised if the Cubs get to like double-digit runs here, flexing on flexing. But let me go back to the Brewers, who also really came through for us last night. Brandon Woodruff had a complete game shutout. I mean, talk about solid. And Freddie Peralta's on the mound. Yep, another extremely solid pitcher. So I'm going to continue to back that Brewers pitching. I'm going to split the units here between Freddie to get 7 Ks in a win, because I do think the Brewers are going to win this one here again, and Freddie to get over 16.5 outs, so 5.2 innings pitched. It's only minus 130, so that's why I like the juice you get at plus 160 for him to have 7 Ks in the win. And that way, if they both come through, you get nice juice. Otherwise, yeah, you get that. But the rest of the odds tell you the story here. I mean, he's pretty much even money to go under 1.5 earned runs. I mean, do you think JT Chargot is getting that kind of juice? I do not. I think the Brewers are going to be on him. But this game only has a 7.5 run total, and the Brewers are heavy favorites at home. So we're thinking low scoring, efficient win for Milwaukee once again, with Freddie able to go deeper because he's facing like the free swinging Marlins here. He has been really good in his last 6 here, and we're talking about a 2 ERA, a .74 WHIP, averaging about 96 pitches though to go somewhere between 5 and 7 innings. He hasn't gotten to this mark a couple times despite throwing a gem, but his last time out at home, 70% ground ball rate against the Phillies. That helped him go 6 innings. The Marlins have the 3rd highest ground ball rate since the All-Star break. They also have the 4th lowest walk rate. So they are not really going to be working counts to go deep here. And they probably are going to be striking out against Peralta because everybody has. He has a 37.5% K rate in the second half. He has a 12.9 K per 9 at home versus just 9.7 on the road this season. Hasn't had a real start against the Marlins since 2019. He pitched at the very end of the season, but 6 innings, 9 Ks the last time he did have a real start against them. But more recently, I'm just looking at pitchers that were able to go really deep against this Marlins lineup because of the way they approach it. They swing outside the zone. Again, one of the highest rates there. So Woodruff, complete game. Ranger Suarez went over 6 innings. Ryan Pepio went 7 innings in a 10-0 win. And even young Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies was able to go a clean 5. So I do think Peralta can get to 6 innings here and continue to pile up Ks, which he has been recently.
Yep. No qualms for me on that one. I've definitely backed Peralta a number of times, and this is another good matchup that he's going to have versus, like you said, the free swinging Marlins who have been odd as a team throughout the year. I know that they've thrown some new guys in there at times, and that's probably affected why they've had like wildly fluctuating stats on offense. But for the most part, pretty bad overall, and that's obviously been their trouble all season, despite having a really solid starting pitching unit there. So also that bullpen continues to struggle. I think there's plenty of good reason to believe Peralta's gonna be able to handle the bats and just focus on him going the distance. Like if we had focused more on Woodruff last night, 12 Ks, there were so many opportunities to also take his outs. His outs were at 18.5, which is why I stayed away from it. I absolutely would have hit 17.5 over, but either way, like, just love the dude, man. If he had been there all season, like, I don't know, it's good that he is back when he is back. Obviously, it's better to be here now for them as they're going to enter this playoff race. So I am going to be targeting Mr. Sandoval here against the Seattle Mariners as the Angels are in Seattle. And a couple things. I'm going Sandoval under 17.5 outs here, -135. Patrick the Pinata, as he is dubbed. Full unit on him to not make it the full 6 innings. And then I've also just got to start putting something on Julio Rodriguez here. I am going to sprinkle about $20 on Julio to hit a home run at +480 on FanDuel. Right now, if you look at his numbers versus Sandoval in the 8 at-bats, 3 hits, 2 of those are home runs. He has struck out once and walked once as well, but slugging 1.125 for Julio against Patrick the Pinata. So, I mean, I'm always going to feel good about picking Julio to do stuff. He's got to get, you can take his total bases over 1.5. I like that bet the most because it's +115. His hits, runs, and RBI are, all the way down to -135 at 1.5 for him to go over that number. So I think the total bases, if you like a home run anyway, it would be really nice if you could just get us all our bets with one swing of the bat. But I'll go 0.2 units on the homer, half a unit on him to get the total bases there over 1.5. And then, like I said, fading Patrick in general there. He has gone less than 6 innings in 9 of his last 12 starts. In that time, a 4.72 ERA and a 4.69 xFIP. So all his numbers are right around the same there in terms of expected and what's actually the outcome. 60% left on base for him. Like, he's just not pitching well out of the stretch either. Not pitching well on 2-strike counts. And he has only an 8% home run to fly ball ratio, which I think you're going to see take a little bit of a downturn for him, and he'll continue to have a pretty high home run rate there per 9, which is up about 1.79 in that time. And if you look at his pitches, the only thing that Seattle hasn't really been able to hit quite as well against lefties is the slider, which is a pitch that he does throw 26% of the time. He's going to have to get it over the plate. And if he's forced to have to like really throw the pitches that he throws that move over the plate, he's got a problem because he's not getting much swing and miss in the zone with the fastball or outside the zone with the fastball for him. And Seattle, if he does throw that fastball, is the second best team with expected outcome when they're facing lefties like that. So versus lefties as well, I mean, they've been good all over the place. Interestingly, they strike out a ton, second most over the last month and a half or so that Seattle is striking out against lefties. But they do have the second highest or third highest, rather, WRC plus behind Houston and Atlanta, who are also smashing the ball. So, yeah, I think he's primed to just get torpedoed here a bit. Maybe give up a nice 4 runs there before he gets to the fourth. Has to come out before, in the fifth or in the fourth even. We get those under outs for him, and hopefully, it's Julio that's doing a lot of the damage like he has so far against Patrick.
Yeah, how many total bases for Julio?
Oh, 1.5 is plus 115.
Yeah, I'm all over that. That is what I will take. Thank you. I will also take his runs plus RBI plus hits, whatever that's at, probably 2.5.
It's 1.5, but it's minus 135.
Oh yeah, no, that's a lock. I mean, Julio is back on his tear right now. Homers in 3 of his last 4. Yeah, obviously, if you get the homer, that's great. I'm not going to count on it. I have to correct you. Patrick the Pinata is Patrick Corbin, the washed-up veteran. Patrick Sandoval is actually pretty good. I mean, he's definitely slowed down here towards the end of the year, as lots of Angels pitchers have. But I like the fact that the Mariners got used to the lefty with Reed Detmers yesterday, and Julio was able to get to him early. I think, I just want to take Julio here, who's probably like $6,000 on DFS tonight. Why don't you just take a little prop bet and make sure you get some of that production coming back without messing with the rest of your DFS lineup?
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, first of all, I don't think Patrick Corbin has the patent on that, right? So I think we can get 2 Patrick the Pinatas in there at this point, because if you do look at Sandoval over his last 12, like I said, he's got some crooked numbers up there and some lower strikeout numbers than he had earlier in the year, but maybe a little bit more respect he is due. I will admit it. Either way, looking to go another solid 90% winning percentage tonight with these picks for you guys. That is all the time we have for you right now. So continue to follow along, like and subscribe to that page. And until we do talk to you next, happy betting.